Watch from Nathan's view. Wow. Wow. Cat-like reflexes.
Oh goodness, Sebastian Coffre, another mistake for him, and he is a sitting duck down the front stretch here with the double draft here for Overbay and Ritters. Are they going to make it 3 wide? Ritters goes for it on Overbay, while Overbay goes for it on Coffre. Up the inside, coming into Doohan corner, and Coffre might have to yield here. He's already lost the place to Overbay. He's going to switch to the outside and try and widen the entry to keep Ritters behind him. Looks like he is going to do that. Late apex, and that will work out all right for Sebastian Coffre, but it's slim pickings at the moment for the number 28.
Donington Park's melee at the start for the GTO class definitely made for an interesting one, but the GTPs saw a new winner in the form of Jakub Maciejewski. In either case, the unpredictability of who is on top from week to week has given us an incredibly close championship on both sides. Let's see if an endurance round will change that as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Interlagos has become a popular circuit with both fans and drivers since it was rebuilt at the end of the 80s. Let's head to our track guide to see what it holds in store. Welcome to Autodromo's Jose Carlos Pache. Most fans and drivers simply know this place as Interlagos. Starting life as an absolute behemoth of a circuit, this Brazilian track was eventually truncated to the version you see today. Having hosted Formula One for roughly 3 decades, it's become very well known on the international stage. But it has also held rounds in the World Endurance Championship, as well as frequently seen Brazilian stock cars, motorcycles, and even truck racing. There's little difference between its 2 layouts, which includes the GP course and the Moto course, which simply adds a chicane to the end of the lap. In both cases, it's a tale of 2 circuits. The run past the start-finish line and into the Senna S, followed by the blast towards the Descida del Lago, are very high-speed sections that come back-to-back. Drivers will need to focus on top end in order to attack or defend. Expect most passes to happen in those 2 corners. But from Ferradura until Junção, the track suddenly twists itself into a mess of hairpins and frustratingly technical turns. This can make car setup a real compromise, and for the latter part of the lap, an absolute pain when dealing with traffic. Pit exit is also a narrow affair, so it requires drivers to take care when trying to maximize their outlaps. On the upside, with this being a modern F1 track, there's paved runoff in abundance at many of the fast corners. The passion of the Brazilian fans always comes out in force at races, and it's no wonder with this picturesque track sandwiched right amongst the neighborhoods of Sao Paulo. Well, Adam, officially it is Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, but most fans simply know it as Interlagos.
Yeah, Interlagos, one of the most popular tracks on the service these days for road racing, and definitely my favorite. This 15-turn, 2.67 mile or 4.3 kilometer track has... Honestly, it feels like a roller coaster whenever you race here, and these Kamel drivers will be in for a roller coaster today, especially. The Nissan GTPs will feel pretty comfortable around this track, especially considering the fact that it was built for high-speed cars like the F1 machines. They're going to feel very comfortable as they dive through the Curva del Sol and through Descida del Lago and Laranjina. But that third sector with Piranello, the S's, Bico de Pato and Junção are going to feel very, very uncomfortable for the Nissans, especially with the curbs and how slippery they tend to be. The Audis, on the other hand, are going to feel uncomfortable the whole way around here with their legendary understeer pushing them out towards the exits of the corners. It's going to be a real struggle to keep those front tire temperatures down as they wrap around this track. Multi-class here, well, normally it can be a fine affair, but with 46 drivers here, the GTPs are going to find a real hard time finding their way past the the Audis. The Audis, on the other hand, are going to need all the track, as we just mentioned, in order to make sure they don't fall off of it. So the Nissans need to be very careful when passing. Speaking of passing, best place to do it is on the back straight. The Subida dos Boxes, very good place to pass, and into the Red Aposta and Descida del Lago, another good place to pass. But Joe, a tight track here, it's going to be a hard thing to do.
Yeah, no doubt. And let's take a look at the championship before we head off to qualifying, starting with the prototypes. And up at the top of those, it is still Heitor Sintez Galindo. However, Martin Krejcik is a mere 2 points behind this time. And Laust Olsen, unfortunately, slipping back a little bit down to 12 points. But still, that's very minor considering how far we are into the season. He's still got a ways to go. And let's head to the GTOs, and that is just getting as close.
Yeah, absolutely. Phil Lake still leads, but Nick McConos only 7 points back. Reed Miller rounds out the Dirty Torque trio up there, only 5 points back of Nick McConos. And then we got Javier Del Olmo, 2 points back there. So very tight for the top 4 positions. But look who's creeped onto the page for the first time this season. Jukka Leskala, 31 points back of the lead. And if you think that's insurmountable, you haven't been watching Jukka drive over the last 3 seasons. The man is a tank. And if he can get that consistency down again as he's had in past seasons, he's going to have a good shot at catching Phil Lake for the lead.
As for today's race, we have a slightly different one. If you've been watching, pay attention, because instead of 40 minutes, it's 60 minutes today. And those extra 20 minutes actually do make a difference because we can expect pit stops in this race because of that. It's still open setups, however, and they still have no spare car, so got to keep the damage good. Of course, now you get a chance to maybe repair it slightly as the drivers come in for fuel, and at least in the case of Nissan, some tires as well. Drive-through penalties at 17 incidents and a disqualification at 25. So they want to keep it clean at this modern F1 track where they do have some paved runoff that'll make it easy to rack those up in a couple spots. Maciejewski is back, and while he is not vying for the championship, he's definitely gobbling up good points, and, well, it looks like he might do it again today because he's got the provisional pole over in the GTPs.
Yeah, absolutely. And this lap may only be, just over 2.5 miles, but it can feel like a really long lap. A lot of our 2.5 mile tracks, we're doing 110s. These GTPs doing 120s. In fact, 119.5 for Jakob. So a great job from him to get onto that provisional pole. Laust Olsen jumps up to second position right now. And Heitor Sintez Galindo looks like he's already completed his qualifying, unfortunately. Third is the best he'll be able to do. But Jukka Leskala pips Phil Lake by half a second on the first lap to currently hold provisional pole.
And they're both circulating around the same place on the track. They get a solo lap around here, so they're able to exist in the same space and not hold each other up. And Mukanos as well here that we watch in the number 13, managing up to third, has become one of the big rivals for Phil this season. As the rest of them cycle back around, it looks like Maciejewski's about to finish his second lap. Oh, but he's pitting in. He doesn't like that second lap. He is done. Does that open the door potentially for Laust Olsen to find those 4/10 and take the pole away?
4/10 is a lot to try and find around here at Interlagos, but it's really easy to lose that much. So if Laust Olsen had trouble on his first lap, he could be finding that time just by not making a mistake this lap. A good exit from the final corner means he's going to round up with the Subida de Boxes and have a really good opportunity at a good run to the line. A 1:19.9 is his current fastest lap. He needs a 1:19.5 flat in order to get past Maciejewski. Can he do it? The answer is no.
He unfortunately lost a bit of time, about 2/10 on that lap. Well, the attention then turns to the GTOs because Leskala and Lake are still out there trying to vie for the pole in that class, and they're going to cross the line at about the same time.
So across comes Leskala and across comes Lake. Who's going to get the better of it this time around? They both cross, and Leskala improves. Lake does not. So Lake now 7/10 behind Leskala. It's going to be Leskala on pole today.
Yeah, Phil Lake had his lap deleted, unfortunately. Alex Millward up to 5th. Javier Del Olmo, who has proven a revelation this season, sits on the outside of the second row. Nicely done, as there's Reed Miller. And he just crossed and managed to improve up to 4th, so he bumps Javier down into the 3rd row as well. And we're missing just a couple. Kurt Clapper looks like he's not going to set a time. William H. Hoover is out there, and it looks like he should have enough time to at least get one in, but otherwise, most of our field is finished.
Yeah, absolutely. So good laps for everybody. It looks like it's about a 10-second delta, as is per usual in the Kamel series, between the GTPs and the GTOs, and it's a pretty evenly split field, even with 46 cars. So it's going to be interesting to see who is the determining factor of these battles. Ooh, Javier Sanchez makes it up to 4th position with a good second qualifying lap for himself. Ove Trangrade still circulating as well. And look at this. That's Ove coming in coming out of the pits to possibly practice a couple more laps, since he has about one more lap that he can do. But looks like William Hoover coming out of the final corner up to the Subidas to boxes. Let's see whether or not he can set a time. The answer is no, as he crosses the grass on the exit. You have to turn in at the right angle. It's so hard to do in the Audi because it wants to push out towards that grass. So unfortunately, he will not set a time.
No, that was his last opportunity, just not enough left in it. And that is it for anybody able to qualify. Our grid has been set here today. So why don't we head through that starting order? Jakob Maciejewski on the pole yet again, with Laust Olsen going to be starting next to him. Ferran Grau will be P3, and you've got Xavier Sanchez in 4th. Heitor Sintes Galindo, our points leader here in the prototypes, will start from 5th. Martin Krajcik, the man who is behind him in the points, starts behind him on the grid in 6th. It'll be Pablo Suarez in 7th, and Ove Trangrade P8. Javier Mascara P9, and top 10 is rounded out by Timothy Vaughn. From there, next slide has Fabian Jungbluth in 11th. Doug Cloud in 12th, and Stefan Leslie in 13th. Seamus Power will start P14, followed by Emerson Gaudin. You've got Cam Porter joining us from the Lotus 49s in the GTPs with 16th, and Paul Fair starts 17th, followed by Fernando Sanchez Espellargos in 18th. And it's Terry Tromashauer. Hauser, in 19th. Matt Malone is back once again, and he will start from 20th. Last of those that set a time: Christian Arribas, Jason Clapper, Jos Smets, Guillermo Crevo, and Kurt Clapper are also at the back of the GTPs.
Then we have our GTOs, Zuko Leskala taking the pole over Phil Lake by nearly a second, with Nick McConnell coming in the 3rd position. Reed Bill is going to start off 4th next to Nick, with Javier Del Olmo starting off on row 3 with Alex Millward. Ben Laughter is going to start off in 7th position with Robert Plumley in 8th. Yuri Giesen makes his return to the series in 9th position, with Matthias Hovdal joining the GTO ranks in 10th. Row 6 is going to be Franco Scurry and Hideki Koivisto. Those two have had many legendary battles over the years, with Mark Olay and Nathan Cameron tucked in behind them in row 7. 15th is Gianluca Gabbiani with Daniele Ivana in 16th position. We got some new names to the series. Philip Vandenhoek is going to line up on row 9 next to Billy Roberts. So we got Juan Colum and Julian Delgado in 20th position. It's going to round out your field with William Hoover, who also did not set a time, and that's going to be your 46 car field, and quite a few of those are evenly split between the Audis and the GTOs.
Absolutely. Well, let's take a look at our onboard cams for today. Giving us a view from the front row of the GTOs, rather, is Phil Lake, back with a Cylon cam once again, and sporting the Guns N' Roses, it looks like, on his shirt. As we've also got Cam Porter with us once again. He is going to be starting from 16th. And then, obviously, Laust Olsen, as he traditionally gives us a perspective as well, this time also from the front row, but up in the prototype class. Okay, well, this is going to be difficult when they hit this part of the circuit, that they're just going to start the pace lap before this infield section. I feel like that is going to be the make or break for a lot of these guys, especially when they start hitting traffic.
Yeah, and I think it's actually going to be the make or break mostly for the GTPs. The GTOs feel very comfortable on this, in the valley section of this track, but it's on the high speed stuff where the GTOs are going to be struggling. So corner exit, especially around the long sweeping corners for the GTOs, is where they're going to have to be careful. The GTPs, it's all about getting the power down. Maximum power application coming out of these sharp turns is going to be what determines their battles, because if they start to lose time in that midsection, if they exit Junkao with a bad exit, they're going to be in big trouble.
The other talking point is, while it's a lovely day for the fans at only 72 degrees Fahrenheit in the air temperature, the sun has been beating down at them. Look at that, 99 Fahrenheit or 37 Celsius.
Yeah, that's going to heat up the tires even more, and this track eats tires. The GTPs, many of them, talking about going for tires on their pit stop because it's going to be free with the fuel for most of them. A couple of drivers are definitely going to try and take the risk and not do that. I'll be interested to see how that works out. I'm pretty sure the Audis will not be taking tires, but those who do will have a significant advantage in the closing 20 minutes of this race. So very interesting to see how those strategies are going to pan out.
Yeah, and if anybody finds himself caught up, I wonder if they're going to make an early pit stop just to try and get out of the craziness and try to run their own race. But last time out, Maciejewski went from a second in his first attempt to the win at Donington Park. So can he do that once again here today and not be like Laguna Seca, where he wound up just outside the top spot? Looks like he's backing him up a little bit, waiting for the Porsche pace car to peel in. Definitely pulling them along very slowly here, making sure that nobody really gets the run on him up behind. And there he goes. There goes the #1 car. Green flag is out. And it looks like a battle for second as Grau got a fantastic jump over Olsen, sends it down into the inside, but Olsen is going to hold him off. The rest of them file down through the Senna S, and it is clean through the GTPs.
The GTOs, Phil Lake got a horrible start, completely missed it, almost got caught up by Reed Miller, but was able to hang on to that position. I think some of the GTOs are going to get bottled up here in the first turn, but still side by side between Phil Lake and Nick McConnell. Nick McConnell has to back out because he's on the outside of the long sweeping turn down towards the Renault Aposta. Curtin Del Sol not playing well for McConnell, but McConnell's right on the back of Phil Lake. Can he dive him down into the Interlagos? The answer is no. He's going to stay in line, but there's a huge wreck in the back of the field.
And that's the second one we've had. Reed Miller spun off in the first turn, did not get collected by anybody. And I think that was, I'm trying to figure out who that was. Ivana, it looks like, that had the tow, and then somebody else here coming to a halt, Delgado, who has too much damage. Also, Olsen and Grau have been battling, and Farron took the second place away in the prototypes, but that is behind an escaping #1 car.
Absolutely. So Jakob doing a great job running away. The best battle we have on track, honestly, is between Matt Malone and Fernando Sanchez Espelacas. And actually, Matt was able to get past Fernando down back in the 20th position. So he's moved up 2 spots since he started. There is Matt as he's tucking his way up forward. And that was Jos Smets trying to make a pass on Cam Porter down the front straightaway. Quite a few GTPs looking for moves now.
Yeah, down into the Senna S once again. And looks like Smets is going to get the spot over Porter, but somebody ahead of them goes off track. That's Gaudin.
Absolutely. So Gaudin going off track is going to make it almost 3 wide as they come through the Curva del Sol. And look at that. That's another driver who's off. I think that was Gaudin, like you said.
Yeah.
No, this is Guilherme Cravo.
Cravo, yeah, and he is actually going to find himself in the midst of the, I was going to say, he's got to get back on the track eventually there. That is in the midst of the GTOs, and he manages to get in front before they start to find him to be a bit of a nuisance there.
Look at Phil. He's gaining. Yuko Lesko is still making mistakes, Joe.
So this is looking good for Phil here at the start, but will Yuko's car fare a little better towards the end of the race potentially?
Oh.
We have seen that before, but look at the cutback from Lake.
Talking to his teammates behind him as he dives to the inside of Yuko. That's not going to work out because it goes left through Pinarino. And so now it's going to approach the Bica Tapado, and Phil has to fall in behind. So this actually brings Nick Bacanos and Javier Del Olmo back up into this battle. It's going to be a 5-way fight for the lead of this race for the GTOs.
Oh, this is great stuff right here as we ride on board with Lake just behind Leskala. Phil still our championship leader coming into this round. And the good news for him is even if he does wreck out, Leskala cannot catch him on points, but it'll be a big chunk out. So he does want to keep at least staying near him onto the main straight. Look at the slipstream and everybody pushing as well. That was Mukanos you saw kicking up the dirt.
Absolutely, a six-way fight for the lead of this race. Phil Lake staying tucked in behind Yuko, so I think everyone's going to be content to ride here because they know that the traffic is going to be what defines this. And speaking of the traffic, our leader in the GTP, Jakub Maciejewski, is about halfway around the track compared to these guys. We've had another problem with Guilherme Cravo, who just has really struggling to get this trackmaster down, so unfortunately he's fallen back yet again. He's about a couple seconds off the back of the pack now, but the GTO lead, as tight as it is, I don't see Phil being aggressive right now. He did make that cutback because Yuko was slow going through Faradura, but unless Yuko makes more mistakes, I think Phil's content to ride.
Yeah, at least for the time being, because he definitely lifted off a little bit down the front stretch as he got close behind that number 2 machine. Switching back now through Pinheiro. As look at just how many cars are clinging to the back of him. Really, the first big gap you've got, it looks like, is 6th to 7th.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of that, Alex Miller and Robert Plumley swapping positions through the infield there. So a good move from Plumley to get ahead of Millward. So good move there. And look how tight they are coming off the final corner. There's definitely going to be some passes this time around.
Yeah, I think Millward's got enough of a run. He could try and take it if he wants to. No, he missed his shift and he falls backwards. So looks like Yuri is now on top of him in the 15.
Oh, Yuko pits. He had qualifying fuel, Joe.
Oh, no. Are we sure about that, though?
He does not have a black flag.
Well, oh, and a big incident. How in the world did Trommelshauser wound up on his lid?
So Trommelshauser was rejoining perpendicular to the track and got hit by Guilherme Cravo, who's having a horrible race today.
Yeah, Cravo was trying to get out of the way and just did not get off to the side in time. See, I wonder if Yuko saw the pressure from behind, figured it's better to just go and run my own race and pit in. Now, this is very, very early, but it might be within the window.
But Joe, his laps are significantly faster than those at the back of the pack. Yuko Leskala has... He's at serious risk of getting caught up in the traffic, and that's going to slow him down significantly. He's going to get caught up in GTP traffic and then traffic of his own class and have to pass those guys. He's going to lose time that way. I think he miscalculated on the fuel.
Well, the only way to find out is if we can get him in to talk to him afterwards, but we'll keep an eye on it and see if he has to come in a second time. But behind him, the battle between the 25 and the 11 and the GTP stays mighty close. And in fact, our championship leader is in there as well, Sintez Galindo, who's got Xavier Sanchez on him. So both the top packs in each class have remained within fighting distance.
Absolutely, and those packs are just getting ever closer. Look at this GTP pack we're riding on board right now with Aitor Sintez Galindo as he's looking on the back of Laust Olsen. And there is, yeah, that's Yuko Leskala. He's the first GTO that these guys are coming up with. And look at that, a move from Aitor trying to go on the outside of Olsen into turn 1.
And this is important in the championship because Olsen wants to play catch-up, so he's going to break deeper, cutting back. Sintez Galindo tries to see if he can get the launch. He will get a better run down the curve of the Sol, but will he have enough of this slipstream? He's starting to reel him back in. This is for third out in the GTP class. He shows his nose, gets to the inside, gets the overlap into the Interlagos, but still can't quite get it done. It carries on down to Ferradura.
Yeah, now he's going to be on the outside of Ferradura. Oh, no! Good contact! That's going to push both of them off. Hopefully, neither of them picked up too much damage, but that's going to lose them a lot of time.
Thankfully, enough runoff they could catch it, but yeah, you're right. This is valuable points lost by both of them. And Sanchez is just laughing his way to the bank. He gets promoted up to second.
Huge amounts of net code for both of those guys. So unfortunately, that contact just a product of the calculations going on iRacing server side. But look at these drivers tucking now through the back of the GTOs. This is where things are going to get really hairy.
Absolutely. This is from about 7th on down to 12th amongst these guys. Coming off onto the main straight Laust Olsen leading Sintez Galindo still, despite the contact. They're close to one another, and it looks like Aitor is a lot quicker to straight line right now. I wonder if some of that is due to damage. Easily past Laust now, and into 7th.
Yeah, Laust has some left side damage on the cowlings on that machine, and so he's definitely in need of slipstream in order to stay fast, and it might even be affecting him more than that. He's tucked in behind Aitor now, and really not gaining that much.
No, he's hurting. I think this is going to be a race of doing the best he can for him, just trying to make good on these lemons and get some lemonade out of it. Behind him already, Timothy Vaughn is getting closer and bringing Fabian Jungbluth along with him.
I've been taking a look around the field to see where the battles are, and there are quite a few close battles for right now, and we have another pitter. Who is this? Is this Yuko again?
He is, yeah.
What is going on with Yuko Leskala?
It's too late to see if he had to serve a black flag for speeding in pit lane, but yeah, he's in pit lane once again. And maybe this is a sign that your call was right. Maybe this is the pit window, and he said, okay, well, let's just pit now. Let's get it done.
Well, yeah, while he's doing that, a battle between Alex Milward and Robert Plumley, with Yoyo Geeson and Ben Lafter going on for 4th position in the GTOs. That's Plumley trying to do the over-under on Milward. He's not going to be able to do that because of the curving, but he's got a good shot if he wants to take it into the seat of Interlagos. Here he goes. He's going to try and take the late braking maneuver. They both break at the exact same time, and here comes Jakub Baciszewski to make things interesting.
So the first of our GTPs now interrupting the middle of the pack, and whoa, just enough space to manage to get around all of them, but certainly not without its own share of scares. So Plumley survives and is trying to pull away from Milward, Geisen, and Lafter behind him. Also worth noting that at the front of all of this, Phil Lake has stretched away from Mukanos. He's making good on not having to deal with Leskala in front of him.
Yeah, 2.5 seconds now for Phil Lake. So Phil actually could probably start to measure his pace at this point. What he should do is he should look at that gap to Nick Mukanos and just try and keep it right there at 2.5 and drive to the maximum, drive his tire, because it's about tire wear on this track. So he's got to be really, really careful to make sure to not overdrive this car, because if he does, Nick might be able to catch up to him. But speaking of Nick Mukanos, he's under pressure from Javier Del Olmo right now.
Yeah, and I have a feeling this is not going to sit still. Neither will this as well, because this is Mascara chasing on Jungbluth, and we might get a pass here is up in front of them. There's some battles as well between Vaughn and Olsen, but Olsen is able to hold on to that, and so is Jungbluth over Mascara. But they are still weaving in and out of this traffic.
Look at the traffic. Look at the gaggles all over the place. These cars, I mean, this is what I was worried about when we started this race. This first cut through of the GTO pack, it's going to be really intense for these GTPs to try and make it through. Look at this gaggle we got going down into the corner, so close.
Yeah, still having to battle almost side by side as we go to Matt Malone now. Still trying to fight with the fellow Nissan liveried Smets, and then they've all got to try and go past on Gabbiani. Oh, no! Oh, and a big contact turns around Gaudin. That's Smets that gets into him. Malone can't go anywhere. Oh, and he loses the tires, comes across him, sends them both off track, and Matt Malone now gets a 2-for-1 deal.
Malone got a lot of practice dodging incidents like that in the MX-5 series that he ran a long time ago, and has been running more as he's come back to streaming over time. But Matt Malone doing a good job of dodging that chaos.
Yeah, so that promotes him up into 18th. This is just par for the course, frankly, for the Kamel GT series, and they've got a traffic jam now into the Senna S as Krejcik goes a little bit wide. This is Sintez Galindo, who cuts back underneath expertly, and that's another spot for him to recover.
And he's going to be able to box out Krejcik with Javier Del Olmo. What a move from Sintez Galindo. Look at the gaggle behind him. Everyone trying to cut their way through.
Trangrade ahead of Laust Olsen, and Timothy Vaughn chucks it down the inside of Plumley and of Laust Olsen. Both yellow and blue cars managed to be at least side by side, but not overtaken. Plumley having a problem and somebody's off.
Seamus power goes off. He's holding the brakes, trying not to cross back onto the track. He manages to do so. Everyone's squeezing by. This is the chaos that I was expecting when we started this race.
Not sure if he got squeezed off. Yeah, three wide there. And just unfortunately not enough room.
And now they're up to the lead of the race now. This is Nick Bakanos that they're trying to go by. Second place in the GTOs. This is Laust Olsen, who is currently down in 8th place and dropping. He actually hit the inside wall going through Sabito dos Boxes, Joe, last lap trying to avoid a GTO. So he's got even more damage that he's contending with now.
Man, it's been a rough day. We still got 3/4 of this race to complete. So there is time to have more problems out there. And Sintes Galindo clearly outpacing Olsen, who you see on your screen right now in that 11. Who's fallen to 8th position. Damage limitation and off yet again.
No, this is Emerson Gaudin.
Oh, he's had offs before already.
Yeah, and this one was of his own making, actually coming through Mergullo, so he just decided to go trim the grass a little bit.
And, somebody off track. Is that Clapper?
Jason Clapper, yes.
So this is out of Curva de Sol. He was trying to get around Yuri in the 15. And this might be worth a replay, honestly. It wound up being a pretty big wreck, but the 15 car actually got away with it pretty decently, although I'm sure he had quite a moment inside the cockpit when it erupted in front of him.
Yeah, a lot of drivers dealing with a lot of chaos right now. Here's that replay that we're going to take a look at. And look at this. He gets pushed off. Oh, my goodness. That's a huge wreck.
Yeah, and that was Geisen, who just kind of suddenly discovered a car flying across his nose.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about with the Audis. There's not much they can do to try and avoid that. If they lift off, it loads up the front tires and they actually push wider. So they have to keep the throttle down. Otherwise, they're definitely going to hit you if you're trying to go around the outside of them. But speaking of passes, right now we got one going on between Cam Porter and Matt Malone in 16th position for 15th position. Matt trying to go around the outside of the first turn, and they've got Nick Bacano, second place of the GTOs to contend with right now.
Yeah, Malone up 4 spots since he began this race. Cam Porter up 1. So it seems Malone has the advantage as we watch with the onboard of Cam Porter. Looking back at Malone, and wow, he is very good on the brakes, shall we say.
Yeah, Malone has had a lot of practice doing late braking maneuvers. It's how he was so successful in the MX-5 series. So continuing to go forward now. Jason Clapper's in the pits for repairs, and it looks like Kurt Clapper's going to join him, unfortunately. So the Clapper brothers in the pits after incidents.
And weirdly enough, it was an exact copy. Both the Clappers did the exact same thing out of Curva de Sol with the same car.
What?
With Yuri. Yes, let's get a replay here.
No, this is not possible. There he is, and there it is. It looks exactly the same.
Except he went to the inside. Yeah.
I mean, the results are a little different, but oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there is any malice, but that is just so coincidental that it's kind of like, I really hope that was not intentional.
No, I've been in Yuri's shoes. There's not, as I said, there's nothing he can do about that.
Oh, no.
He's cranking the wheel, trying to keep off of the GTP.
I don't think Yuri. I think that was a brother trying to avenge his blood there. So,
I just think they both made the same mistake.
So it's time to have a family sit down and go, maybe the outside of Curva de Sol is not the way to pass. But in the meantime, this is Laust Olsen in the 11. Who is sitting in 8th and still has Timothy Vaughn, who's been challenging him lap after lap, but maybe this is where things even out and Olsen has the pace to at least retain this top 10 position. Paul Ferrer is starting to join up too.
Yeah, Pole catching up to the back of Timothy Vaughn. Pole's been one of those drivers who's been able to keep his nose out of trouble today. Trouble's been all around him, but he hasn't been part of it. So Pole doing a good job hanging on to that position, up 7 spots.
Oh no, Hovdal is off. That's one of our top runners in the GTOs. He had a little help, I think, from Jason Clapper.
And this, Jason Clapper? This is the same exact incident that we've seen 2 times from the Clappers.
Except it's a different corner this time, but he's going to go around the outside. Yeah, and this time there was enough damage that he was absolutely done for the day, but the 5 getting innocently collected by that one.
All right, let this be an object lesson. The Audis have historically bad understeer. You don't go on the outside of sweeping corners on an Audi, otherwise you will get hit.
I do hope that that those in the Kamel community clip those YouTube moments and share them, and like you said, just use these. This is why you don't do this, because man, just very, very obvious how badly that goes wrong time after time. But in the meantime, we've got Del Olmo trying to outrun Plumlee, but Plumlee a little bad coming off of Curvatus Sol. Gaudin now cuts underneath, and he's also going to have Cravo in there. And, taking a little bit of a look down into the Interlagos. Plumlee thinks about it, but he's not close enough to Javier.
All right, so now this time, yeah, you can see Plumlee had to stab the brakes there to stay off of Cravo, who's going around the outside, and that loses Plumlee time. And also, when the GTPs are going full chat, the GTOs are not going to expect them to go around the outside of that corner. So that's why you see so many incidents happening at that exact spot. So Plumlee with good pressure on Del Olmo. Del Olmo in 3rd position, still hanging on to that position, up 2 from the starting position because Yuko had that pit stop. So most of our GTOs are running with a +1. In fact, all of them are running with a de facto +1 to their position gain.
And with the 2 stops for Leskala, you have to wonder where exactly he's going to wind up. Nathan Cameron is actually in front of him by about 40 seconds, which does sound like a lot, but kind of impressive that he's as close as he is. Meanwhile, we come to Mascara and Paul Ferrer here working on 11th place down into the ESA. This is where things get tight and slow, and you have to be gentle with that throttle.
And I can report that Plumlee has just made the pass on Del Olmo into turn 1. So Robert Plumlee up to 3rd position. Del Olmo looking to come back at him as they go towards the Interlagos.
And Ferrer was a little bit farther ahead. In fact, he was ahead of Jungbluth before we cut to him. And he had a mistake coming out of the Interlagos, just brushed the inside wall after he lost control of the car. This is exactly where they are now in this battle. Plumlee ahead of Del Olmo, finally. And looks like Javier wants that one back. But Alex Millward making sure to stay a threat in there as well. If Del Olmo gives a try at it, he's going to not have to just play offense, but defense.
Yeah, so, looking at both window and mirror for Del Olmo trying to hang on to this thing. Millward trying to make up positions from when he had his little moment that sent him off track. So Millward doing a good job of hanging on to these guys. And whoa, heavy on the brakes, a little bit of contact between Del Olmo and Millward, but that's just going to give Del Olmo a little bit of speed off the front. And that was Christian Arribas who was hanging out on the side of the track there.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to mention. And Millward just gave him a hello, that's all. Unfortunately, it cost him on speed coming up the hill. You could see the distance he lost to Javier. But Alex clearly very good coming into the junction, but he wants to be good coming out of there since it's such a long stretch up to the Senna S. They got one more friend coming through, and that is Jacob, once again, for the 2nd time, cycling around them.
Yep, and easily cuts back to the inside after going around the outside of Millward through the center of the corner. It's on the exit where you have to be careful with the Audis. And so able to cleanly get past these guys, and now only got 2 more cars to go past, Nick McConos and Phil Lake, who are on their own. So it should be pretty easy for Jakob to make his way around.
Yeah, and these long shots of the straights for Machajewski has shown how far away Sanchez is. It's about 11 seconds. Meanwhile, Jungbluth is pitting in. Now,
Tires.
Okay, so this looks like a scheduled stop, most likely.
Yeah, this is scheduled, so he's doing an early pit stop. Possibly felt like he was being a little held up in the pack, so he's going to try and get that pit stop done early and try and get out there and set some quick laps. He's got a decent gap that he's going to be able to filter into, I believe, with some lap cars. No, he's going to have a very decent gap, about 15 seconds that he's going to have up in front of him of clear track.
You know, I'm going back to watch on Yuko Leskala here the last few laps. He has been hot lapping. He is just out there on his own. And not even the GTP traffic has been cycling through on him. So at least not for some time. So this actually might have been a great call by him to have those 2 pit stops back to back.
While I would normally agree, Joe, he's only going to, when the guys pit, he's only going to make it up to about 11th or 12th position. And granted, that's only going to put him about 20 seconds behind Phil, but then he's going to have about 20 minutes to make up 20 seconds. And I know that it goes good, but usually he's only about half a second faster than Phil Lake on the best of times. Well, on his lapping. So,
but if he had stayed out on track, he would have caught the back, like you mentioned. So this has allowed him to really run as though he was still up at the front.
100%, yeah. So it's his best shot, but I still don't think it's going to get him what he'd like. But it's a good recovery if he did miscalculate on the fuel.
It's certainly making the best of it. Laus Olsen, you can see on screen, taking tires. And we got a pass here with Sintez Galindo and Pablo Suarez. Galindo's going to get that one as they go by. Yet more battles in the GTOs. That's Scurry and Laughter. Laughter's going to have to compromise coming through Pinarino and eventually cuts back down to the apex.
Yeah, and Suarez actually has some right rear wing damage on his machine, so that's definitely affecting him. That's why he's fallen from 4th to 5th. So Suarez is going to start falling back a little bit more with that damage that he's got.
And I think actually that damage came recently. I'm trying to figure out. Yeah, he made contact with... it looks like with Hideki Koivisto, just slight contact. So it has not been perfectly clean of recent for Pablo Suarez, who is still up from where he was before, up 2 positions currently.
Oh, we've had a big moment with Hovdal again. Hovdal's mowing the grass and taking the moto course.
How did he get out in there? Oh, he spun it on his own this time, though. That was his own doing. Just went off into the grass on the outside of the junction. And that sent him way into that open expanse where there's just nothing to run into. But unfortunately, means you got a ways to go to get back onto the circuit.
So as Hovdal recovers, we got a nice battle for P6 in the GTOs between Ben Laughter, Franco Scurry, and Hideki Koivisto. These 3 have been nose to tail for a couple laps now, and they've got a Pole Fair trying to cut his way through there. That's going to hold up Laughter. This is the battle that we saw the GTPs going by just a couple moments ago, and they're still stuck together now.
Yeah, Koivisto's caught up to them by a pretty decent margin in this. Guessing the traffic probably helping him out there. Now he's sizing up the likes of Scurry and Laughter out of the duck spill and towards Mergulo. Ooh, much tidier line here for Scurry. Can he use it to his advantage? Needs a good exit. Coming out of the junction. Who's got the throttle control? Who can figure out just how far they can push it? It looks like... Oh! That was Pole Ferrer again! And he's upside down.
Ben completely was looking in his mirrors. He had no idea, but Pole Ferrer stopped literally in the middle of the track. He had no incident, no nothing. He just stopped.
He's very slow. Oh, it almost looks like he blew his engine? Hard to tell.
So here's Pole exiting the final corner. He's in the middle of the tracks. Clearly something's wrong, but then he just parks it. And then up comes Ben Laughter, unsighted, and absolutely clobbers him.
So let's listen.
The engine shuts off. He clutches in or something like that. His RPMs absolutely dropped down.
But he also looked like he hit the brakes as well.
I'm very confused.
At best, I'm guessing he had some sort of technical error, something that broke with his software or his hardware, and maybe just lost a monitor or something, and tried to brake to try and escape out as soon as he could, but unfortunately was not able to. Whatever the case, it's a strange incident that cost a lot of damage for Laughter. As down in 12th, we were talking about the fight between Porter and Malone. Well, that still is going on, and they're actually going by Scurry and Koivisto themselves.
Yeah, so Scurry and Koivisto in their own battle that just got passed by Malone and Porter. Malone using that excellence on the brakes to his advantage to catch up to the back of Porter. The trouble is he can't get decent exits because Porter's struggling a little bit through the center of the corner. So that's why we're seeing him having those issues.
And after all that we've witnessed, we're now at halfway. So
wow.
So be ready for that all over again as they fly down through the Descida del Lago. Credit to Porter here, keeping a big name behind him, and Matt Malone. And coming into the horseshoe. Ooh, somebody's off track there. Stefan Leslie. That was for position.
And he parked it. This one...
It's the same thing. He just pulls off
He blew
the
his
track.
engine.
Oh.
Why did he money shifted. He was trying to upshift it. He downshifted by accident. Got into the wrong gate.
Pablo Suarez is pitting. Pablo is going to try and cut this perfectly in half.
From P5.
Will anybody else join him is the question, because he might get stuck in some of the traffic of those who did not stop, but they seem to be somewhat spread apart. As we expected, most of the GTPs are going to be taking tires.
Yeah, so tires for Pablo as he jumps on board. Looks like he's the only one to take it this lap so far. So once again, so Pablo is off and running as we take a look at Krajcik running around there in now 5th position. So he inherits 5th there. And I can report that Hideki Koivisto is trying another move on Franco Scurry. Franco's been holding off Hideki quite efficiently down there for the 6th position in the GTOs.
As they come out of the Curva de Sol, they're going to have some friends trying the outside. They got just enough time, and they hold to the inside regardless. That's Olsen and Jungbluth.
No!
Whoa! What happened to Hideki there?
No idea. That was completely unprompted from Hideki. He just decided that he wanted to have a moment, I guess.
Oh, it was huge netcode with Espinargas in the 43.
Oh, you're right.
Because he caught the grass and he swerved to catch it, and the net prediction unfortunately thought that he would have continued heading off to the left. Well,
ooh, Krajcik's in.
This might be a response to Jungbluth.
Or to Suarez. Suarez was the one who was ahead of Krajcik before he pit. So I think Krajcik is trying to cover off Suarez.
Yeah, I think you're right. Good call on that. And Suarez has been in mostly clear areas, had a little bit of GTO traffic in the meantime. 17 seconds for Suarez, and Krajcik 16 seconds. But it looks like it's not going to be enough. Krajcik will emerge behind him.
Taking a look now at Timothy Vaughn and Ove Trangrade as they're ripping their way around the infield of this track. Going past Yukaleskala, currently now in 14th. And he is the last of the running vehicles in this race besides Daniel Ivana, who's quite a few laps down. But yeah, Yuko's making up time just because the attrition of this race is fairly high, Joe.
Well, I mean, whatever works in his case, it's still positions, and he won't have to fight for them. And interesting to note that Jungbluth and Olsen, both having taken their stops, are still battling amongst each other and very closely. Here they are on track. This is Del Olmo, who's 3rd in the GTOs. Do not want to take him out because he's sitting at a great position currently, and they're easily able to leave him be after the Ducks Bill. But now comes the critical exit.
Yeah, Joe, the Laust Olsen got his damage repaired because his last lap with these new tires was a second faster than Jakub Matuszewski. So he's absolutely back on form with that GTP machine, and he's going to try and make a pass on Jungbluth now.
Coming up to the inside, looking for it, but Jungbluth leaves the space. It's going to be side by side, but not for very long because they've got Mukanos in front of him and feeding him out. Looks like Jungbluth will retain that 12th spot for the time being. Mukanos off to the right to give them plenty of room. Olsen starts to gain once again and then breaks hard for the Interlagos. So it didn't work this time, but he's still threatening.
And our first GTO is in. That is Franco Scurry into the pits for the GTOs. Interestingly enough, he was not being held up, and he's missed his pit box. He drives through pit lane.
Oh, no. So, looks like Yuri is also in the 15. But Franco, it seems silly, but one thing that most people don't realize about iRacing that haven't raced on it is that the pit stall is determined by your qualifying position, so you don't know exactly where it is until you get there.
Many times you have no idea where it is, so it doesn't surprise me that he missed it. He probably was in one of the first boxes, and those are, about 100 feet to your left. Yeah, it's a blind crest with a wall that ends, and then 100 feet to your left is the first boxes. It could be really hard to get in those if you don't know that it's coming.
Oh, man. Well, I hate to see that because he's having such a great fight to hold his position. Meanwhile, as we come through the Duxbill, these battles at the top of this field still raging, this time between Grau and trying to catch up to Sanchez, but looks like Grau is unfortunately not able to get up to him. Meanwhile, we've jumped back here to Vandenherk and Gabbiani. This is for 8th down in the GTOs. Will either of them pit this time potentially, or they're going to keep going? They're going to keep going.
And Koivisto decides to come in, so covering off what would have been a stop from Franco Scurry. And look at Gabbiani taking a large look at Vandenhoek, but can't quite get there, can't get the nose in. But these two are catching up to Marco Lay now. So they're doing a good job. I think Gabbiani's pushing Vandenhoek to increase his pace a little bit here.
Indeed, and now goes by Sintez Galindo, still 4th in his class. Actually impressive recovery after his major off a little bit earlier, using this endurance format well.
Joe, I can't believe it. Hideki Koivisto missed his pit box too.
What is going
Franco
on?
Scurry and Hideki Koivisto, who are battling each other, might still be because they both missed their pit box on their first time through pit road.
Well, Scurry, yeah, is managed to go and find his now. Koivisto not. That is one of the strangest. Somebody send that into the not top 10. That is the weirdest pit cycle battle I've ever seen. Oh no, Sanchez, is he having problems? He's irate over the radio. He had contact with Millward and somebody.
Millward is completely destroyed, Joe. We need to take a look at this. This is a very interesting miscommunication.
So he wanted to take the corner as normally, and it just, like you said, they have to track out, which includes tracking into the apex. Oh, man.
Yeah, I don't know whose fault that is, to be honest with you, because Xavier was well into that corner. I think that was probably, honestly, on Millward to lift a little bit there.
Credit to Dougie Beard for that camera on a stick out there. Perfect placement to catch that contact between the pair of them. Ooh. But Sanchez, who's running a solid second, I understand him being a little bit upset if he loses out on that, as Timothy Vaughn is in.
We got a nice battle. We got a couple of nice battles going on track. This is one between Pablo Suarez and Matt Malone once again. So Suarez trying to tuck his way through there. There's also a nice battle for P5 in the GTOs between Marco Lay, Philip Vandenhoek, and Gabbiani. So some decent battles starting to break out here as people starting to pit.
Lay's been caught recently by Vandenhoek and Gabbiani because he was a little ways ahead. There you can see on screen. He is the 28 with the orange and white on his car. There is Marco Lay. So if he's being caught, he might be in trouble here, especially in this section where that slipstream plays huge dividends on this front stretch.
Well, what's awesome is that Philip Vandenhoek really did not have the pace to be this quick earlier in the race, but when he started to get pressure from Gabbiani from behind, that pressure actually increased his pace significantly. So now he's looking out the front of window, looking up at Mark Olé, as we're looking out of the back window of Olé at Vandenhoek. So Vandenhoek has been absolutely goaded into being quick right now, and he's looking to the inside.
Gonna make the move, and it looks like Philip now up into 5th position. A few others have pitted, so they've already taken theirs, and Plumlee's still carrying on despite the inadvertent drive-through that he had. Looks like Matt Malone is pitting at the same time that Doug Cloud is.
Yeah, so those two should come out with similar times. They're going to be about 2.5, 3 seconds separated on track. So Matt Malone coming in with 22 minutes left to run, and he did take tires. So did Doug Cloud. So be very interesting to see where both of these guys come out. We still have the top 6 in the GTPs who have yet to take their pit stops. Jakub Makrzewski still has the lead by 20 seconds over Xavier Sanchez, who had that contact that's starting to slow him down.
I have to say, I do. Oh, as we got another one in the barrier. That's Power.
Seamus Power, yeah.
It's the second time he's found himself in some trouble today. First time.
This one, he was trying to go around the outside of Nick Makanos. Nick actually managed to keep it off of him, but Seamus Power just got into the grass and actually spun it into the outside wall himself.
Yeah, just put 2 wheels in there, and that was enough. Couple more takers in pit lane, Grau and Sintez Galindo. I really love this format, this 60-minute format here, Adam, because so many times in pit stop races that we've watched, it's a lot of people taking pretty similar strategies. This has been all over the place. They're trying everything.
Absolutely. All these guys are trying everything to try and figure out how to make passes on each other. We've got massive battles going on track. One is P7 of the GTPs with Pablo Suarez and Martin Krajcik after they've had their moments. That's Krajcik rejoining. Oh, sorry, that's Suarez rejoining after being pushed off track. And look at
And off goes Azatel Olmo. No, that's Vandenhoek. Oh. So he loses multiple positions that he just managed to overtake. And that was with the hurry up that Cravo was given. Now, Cravo wasn't fighting for position,
Nope.
I don't think.
No, he just stuck his nose up the inside, unfortunately. So now Gabbiani is tucked into a massive gaggle right now. We're looking at Laust Olsen as he's trying to cut his way through this pack. He's got to keep going because he's got Timothy Vaughn tucked in behind him. Look at these Audis and these GTPs trying to navigate this very complex infield.
And try to dodge all the different moving chicanes that are the GTOs, as Laust Olsen is up to 10th, but he should inherit a couple others after the pit stops finish out.
It looks like Cravo's gotten a black flag.
That's probably incident limits. Let's see when he serves it. Yeah, he's going to come in now.
And
but
look at the clouds, Joe. Huge cloud cover starting to come over the track right now.
Ooh. Well, that changed the temperature. It's still at about the same it was before, 99 Fahrenheit, about 100 right now, technically. But yeah, so Cravo, unfortunately, incident limits here, and he's taking his pit stop at the same time. Now, unfortunately, I believe that will extend the penalty if you take a pit stop when you serve a drive-through. So he's just going to find himself ever more frustrated. Meantime, looks like, this is getting close here on the front stretch. Coming through, that is Roberts being overtaken by Power and Sanchez. So Sanchez putting a lap on Power and trying his best to at least get something respectable out of this race. And a second place will be good on the points, but look at the gap there on the tower. 25 seconds right now.
I mean, I know that Sanchez has damage, but it was 15 seconds before that damage happened. So Maciejewski proving that he definitely deserves to have that number 1 slapped on his car.
Yeah, I think this is easily going to be a win unless something happens to him or he makes a critical error in this race, something like that, where Leskola says, come on, can I just get to the finish here?
Yeah, Leskola still tucked into 7th position, so he's doing a good job right now of hanging on to that, but he's about a lap off of Phil Lake, about 3/4 of a lap off of Phil Lake. So 7th would be a good recovery drive from him, but still, that lack of consistency, those mistakes really hurting him. Now, another battle going on right now is between Doug Cloud and Matt Malone. Matt's got a good run off the final corner, but Doug, very trimmed out in that GTP. No slipstream effect for Matt Malone. He's going to have to stay in behind, even though he's better on the brakes.
Certainly looking, but can't find the gap down through the Senna S. Could get another one. Doug Cloud is going to try and stretch those legs out as best he can, using that extra speed. And as they break for the Interlagos, yeah, no attempt this time from Malone, although a little bit off the apex for the 27th, left the door open.
Yeah, Malone's going to have to try and do some sort of late braking surprise on Doug, because we know that he's got the brakes to do it. He's just going to have to send it up the inside of Doug at a time when Doug doesn't expect it. Otherwise, I don't think he's going to get past Doug. He's not going to be able to drag past Doug. Now, here is our leader of the GTOs in the pits. That's Phil Lake, taking his pit stop, and Nick McConnell follows him in. So Javier Del Olmo will inherit the lead, but look at this. This is Doug trying to go on the outside of Daniel Ivana. Matt Malone trying to take an opportunistic move, but unfortunately backfires on him.
And I think...
Wow, really backfired on him.
Okay, so in the background, as the drivers were pitting, I noticed somebody having to pull in at a very awkward angle. That was Nathan Cameron. This would be a perfect example if we could get a replay of his pit entry and see how drastically he had to pull over. If the others that missed their stall are similar to his, man, this is miserable.
All right, so here they come into the pit lane. That is Phil Lake tucked in behind him. Nathan has had a couple incidents, and look at him. Look at how far he has to go. It's a really good thing he caught that, but he's in his pit box legally like that. But my goodness, I mean, that's a hard break for him.
And even getting, yeah, look at him try to get out. Thankfully, does not hit the pillars of the garages, and is eventually able to return to the track. We're gonna. Whoa! Is that Trangarade going underneath Lake there?
No, it's Trangarade underneath Gaudin. So Gaudin had a terrifying near miss, and then has to basically pull into the garage in order to take his pit stop.
Cameron, rather. I thought the GTP was Trangarade. So, wow, that was nearly a monstrous wreck.
Oh my
if
gosh.
he had been an inch or two to the right, then that GTP would have just been speared into the barrier.
That would have been a huge wreck. That probably would have taken out Phil too, Joe. That probably would have taken out our leader in the GTOs. So Phil Lake getting some luck for once in his Kamel career.
For once. Yeah, he didn't even get it last week because he got taken out before they even saw the green flag, unfortunately. Well, right now who could forget the Road America incident on lap 1 as well? So, you know. And look at this, Fabian Lundbluth on Mountain Craytrick. Yeah, this has been going on almost the whole race, and this time Craytrick looks like he's got the move. He is up into 7th. Now Mosquera in front of them needs to take a pit stop, so they're going to be promoted up at least that position. And let's see who's quicker in a straight line between them, because it certainly took Martin some time. Fabian still right there. And as they start to pick up pace, it looks like Martin stretches away initially as they start to reach top speed, 160 miles an hour, coming back at him in the draft. Jungbluth could have a shot at getting it right back. He's going to duck down to the inside, gets the overlap, sends it in deep into the corner, and right back goes Jungbluth.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jungbluth all the way through, and Guillermo Cremo coming out of the pits from yet another black flag. So unfortunately for him, still not having a great race, but Craytrick is not going to let this go. I know he's not. He's going to try and hang on to the back of Fabian and try and get past.
So now flying down towards the Ferradura, as they also have Timothy Vaughn back there, who would like to get past Guillermo and get involved in this little scuffle for position. Question is, at what point will Mosquera pit? Because they probably won't want him to hold them up, since he is on a different pit strategy.
Nathan Cameron is stranded. He's trying to find his way back on without hitting anybody. That was close.
back rolling, and was trying to see if the car is tracking straight. Yeah, I guess it is. It seems straight enough, but not sure what happened there.
It was a miscommunication between himself and Doug Cloud on the inside of that corner.
Meanwhile, Power going past Olay and Gabbiani. Gabbiani up to 4th, Olay up to 5th, but they each need to take fuel. Del Olmo is your leader, also needs to stop in. Phil Lake will inherit the lead back here pretty soon.
And we got a massive gaggle going on as our leader, Jakub Maciejewski, comes into the pits. Jakub, and this is with Javier Mosquera, Fabian Newbluth, Martin Krajcik, and Timothy Vaughn as they're trying to navigate through the top 10 of the GTOs. And look at this GTP gaggle, all tucked in under one roof right now.
Robert Plumley's in front of him. Mosquera is going to have to go to the outside. Again, not on the same strategy as these guys, technically. Jungbluth able to hold off Gaudin.
He just dove through that pack, Joe. That was Krajcik and Mosquera that just backed up and 3-1 to make contact.
And that's going to send Gaudin off. He is being lapped. That was Timothy Vaughn, who was not in a battle for position with him. I'm sure he didn't get away from that one clean. And Gaudin is a bit incensed by that, as Krajcik is still trying to just keep this thing safe and see if he can catch back up to the 8 car.
Yeah, but he's having to, that really broke up that battle with all that chaos that went on the infield. So now they're all separated by about a second, but I expect these four to be tucked in nose to tail again. But Jungbluth, a 3-car move in 1 lap. That's a great improvement for him.
Incredible stuff. Also worth noting that Ove Trangerade is starting to catch on Farron Grau for 3rd position. So podium potentially for Ove, who started this race in 8th and didn't get to have his 2nd lap. So he's making up for what was a bit of an unfortunate start to today's event, but has wound up actually kind of working out pretty decently.
Well, Joe, I didn't think attrition was going to be that big of an issue here today. I was dead wrong. We've had, I believe, 12 cars DNF this race so far on contact alone. So that's way more than I expected around here.
Sanchez finally in. Trangrade's going to carry on. Grau gets promoted back up into 2nd. Trangerade. Trangrade's not actually in a battle with Grau. Looks like he's also on different pit strategies. He still needs to take a stop. 10 minutes left to go. We should see the last of them in pretty soon. Del Olmo is trying to stretch this one out to the very fumes of that pit of that gas tank. So we continue to watch the battle for what is now 2nd place. So Sintez Galindo will have recovered.
Oh, Timothy Vaughn's around. Timothy Vaughn was trying to chase down Javier Mosquera and spins it out in the first turn, almost catching Yuka out again.
He'll get the car going, so it looks like it wasn't too bad of a hit. But yeah, Sintez Galindo, despite his big off, is going to wind up on the podium today. So this was all about avoiding the attrition, as Maciejewski with the fresh tires has now set the fastest lap.
Wow. I mean, that man is just ripping off laps. I mean, he just put in a 125, Joe. That is wild on race pace.
And where is Leskala in all of this?
P6.
Currently 6, yeah. And will we see drivers pit in ahead of him here, since it should be the last lap that they can go?
Marco Ley and Gianluca Gabbiani still have yet to pit. That'll put him up to 4th position, about 40 seconds behind Nick Bacano. So that'll be the farthest he goes. But as far as recovery drives are concerned, that'll be amazing.
Mosquera pits, Gabbiani pits, and then
Ole went around.
Yeah. So
oh, look at this, who went around too. That's the leader, that's Maciejewski.
Still has 16 seconds in closing.
His major left side damage, and I think a little bit of toe damage as well. It's going to be hard to hang on to this lead.
Let's see what kind of pace he can run from here. who was that with?
3 other vehicles. So this is actually contact between Doug Cloud and Philip Vandenhoek ahead of him, and that ended up collecting our leader.
Oh, wrong place, wrong time, unfortunately. It wasn't a big hit. The real, I think, worry is that he may have gotten, insult to injury, is whether or not he hit his suspension.
The car definitely is not as quick. I'm going to be keeping my eyes on his lap times to see how bad it is. He's not going to get held up too badly this lap, but I can report that Ove Trangrade just got passed by Heitor Sintes Galindo. Ove has yet to pit, Joe, so he's got a ways to. Still got to give up about 30 seconds to the pit box. So Ove Trangrade's going to fall himself back down into, I think, 9th or 10th after his pit stall.
I think these guys trying to see if they can get it out, eke it out to the very finish. But I don't think with such a long stretch up from the junction to the Senate S that they'll be able to. But still very few laps to have to complete on the second stint of the day, as this is Laust Olsen. Only able to get to 8th, probably going to be 7th once we see Trangrade pit in, because, yeah, he's just up the road from him.
All right, we've got about 4 laps to go, Joe. Jacob Maciejewski is about to cross the line with 6 minutes to go at 1:23. So, yeah, about 4 or 5 laps left, and he did a 1:23.5, and that was the quickest lap he could put in. So he's 2 seconds lap slower than he was compared to Farron Grau's 1:21.6.
But Grau needs a lot more than that to catch him up. If it had been a bit of a cleaner race for the 25, I think there was definitely a chance that he could have challenged for that. And Del Olmo finally pits, handing the lead back to Phil Lake, and should see Marco Lay in as well. And will Del Olmo, I think Del Olmo is going to come out ahead of Leskala.
Yes, he definitely should come out ahead of Leskala. Leskala is just now coming through, approaching Junkao. So Del Olmo on the roll, he will come out well ahead of Yuka Leskala.
This is going to be the 3rd win of the season if Lake brings us home from here. There's Del Olmo coming out of the pits and onto the Retta Aposta. Leskala is just coming up to the start-finish line. So, yeah.
And they've got Olay between them. So Del Olmo in position for a podium today.
Indeed. Leskala, though, once Mark pits, that's going to be at least a 4th. That's pretty decent considering the circumstances.
And yeah, Mark, I'll be curious to see whether Mark does pit. 4:30 to go. He might be trying to stretch that tank all the way. It would be a real challenge to do so, but it's possible. He's got 4 seconds back to Yuka Leskala. So I don't think he can do it, but we've seen stranger things happen.
Well, to give you an idea of the speed of Jakob in the number 1 machine right now, well, he ran a 23.6 or 23.4 with that damage. Grau ran a 23.6. So I'd say
he's doing what he needs to do, Joe, but I think Grau ran into some trouble because Heitor Sintes Galindo behind it to 21.4.
Well, whatever the cause for it, you can say that Maciejewski is honestly pretty comfortable. Because even
I think Gabbiani went around. And this was off the nose of a GTP. This was off the nose of Hideki Koivisto. And this was on a rejoin, actually, because Gabbiani outbraked himself into the Red Aposta.
Yeah, Trangrade was going underneath and just tipped him around. Don't think he hit anything. There is Ove carrying on. He still has to pit. Is Ove going to try and no stop? Whoa, whoa, whoa! Who is that? Is that our leader? No, that's Doug Cloud.
That was a terrifying moment for everybody involved.
So Doug Cloud not honestly at fault for that, because Seamus Powers spun in front of him and he had to avoid, and that spun him out.
All right, so we have lost 16 drivers today so far. You know?
Wow.
That's nearly half the field.
Yeah, it's about a third that are gone right now. And
look at this. Yuko made it past Mark Olay.
oh. And
So
that's
Mark,
without the pit stop, yeah.
I think Mark is trying to go to the end, and he just can't keep the pace up to stay ahead on the fuel that he has to run.
I wonder if Trangarade is doing the same, because we're down to 2 minutes to go. And is he on the lead lap? Yes, he is. Machajewski is just coming around to get the 2 lap to go mark this time by. It's a long shot, but we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, Trangarade is going to the end at this point. He's got about 2 laps to go. Jakub Machajewski crossing the line with 150 left on the clock. This should be the 2-lap marker for him. So, though, it looks like it's going to be the final lap, possibly. So we'll keep our eyes on that, because sometimes our timing and scoring can be wrong.
Yeah, that's a minute 20.
I would say it's
minute 23.
Go.
Yeah, it's 2 to go here for these drivers. So
yeah, there's no way, unless Machajewski decides to back out, but he can't back out 20 seconds. He's only 15 seconds ahead of Grau.
Exactly. Who's still trying his darndest to see if he can close in more than this. But Ove Trangarade kept going. And what about Mark Olay? Mark Olay kept going. Okay.
And Mark's dropping like a rock, though. He's now been passed by Plumley as well. Only 10 seconds ahead of Billy Roberts. I wouldn't be surprised if he lost that position, too.
I mean, at this point, you're committed. If you try and pit in, you're going to lose even more time on top of being slow. So unless this, maybe this just went a lap longer than he anticipated. And,
all right. Jakub's approaching the white flag this time around. So Jakub Machajewski out of the final couple of corners, onto the Subito de boxes, across the line and take the white flag. He's got Javier Del Olmo and possibly Javier Mascara and Nick Macanos to pass this lap, but it's going to be towards the end of the lap for those last 2. So pretty clear track for him.
Came in with a 2nd place at Laguna Seca, and then did one better for himself last time out at Donington with a victory. Can he make it back to back? Oh, and Sintez Galindo just passed Grau. And I think those 2 are teammates, it looks like. So the 10.
Oh, and Ole's out of fuel. Mark Ole's out.
Yeah, I think it went a lap longer than he thought it would. So basically, he maybe could have made it if it finished on this lap, but it's all uphill. Just gutting for him. Machajewski, in the meantime, through the duck spill. Still 15 seconds over Sintez Galindo. This has been an absolute masterclass. Granted, it was not without problems. Had that one issue trying to go by lap traffic and got collected. So up
Matt
the hill.
Malone's low on fuel. He's going to let Machajewski go by so that he doesn't have to do another lap, but he lost a position to do it.
And that's the win for Jakub Machajewski, making back-to-back here in the Kamel GT Series.
And that's going to be Heitor Sintez Galindo, who's going to pull in behind. Farron Grau's not going to be able to catch him. Ove Trangarade on a no-stopper is going to complete the race in 4th position. That's an impressive feat.
Yeah, that color me wowed by that number 12, and even manages to make it to the line without sputtering. Amazing stuff. So, what about Phil Lake as he celebrates?
Jungbluth is going to pass Sanchez right at the line, and he does. So Jungbluth's going to take 5th away from Sanchez.
Wow. And Phil Lake is now coming through the Ducksbill himself. Leskala's already finished, so he is done and will absolutely wind up with 4th place. But Lake, he may have thought, oh, you know, I've got Leskala back. He's going to make big inroads on me once again, taking a win. Didn't seem to really be able to challenge him as well, but no, that was not the case. It was the error of his rival that opened the door, and Lake had a rather easy one comparably to take his 3rd win of the season here at Interlagos. So that's going to take us to a quick break. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started. This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing.
Well, Kamel GT once again delivers its chaos that it tends to, and here at Interlagos, Jakub Maciejewski, who didn't get away from it completely, survived, and after seeing his lead cut in half, he still finished about 16 seconds ahead of the next nearest car, which was Aitor Sentes Galindo, with a wild off partway through the race, and gathered himself up to finish second ahead of Farron Grau, who rounded out the podium. Ove Trangrade managed not to stop for fuel the entire race and took fourth because of that. Fabian Newbluth was fifth behind Tim, and Xavier Sanchez was sixth. After that, Martin Krajcik, P7. Lyle Stolson involved in that big off track with Sentes Galindo. A little bit more damage, we think, and that slowed him down from the front row to eighth for him. Pablo Suarez was ninth, and Timothy Vaughn rounds out the top 10. Next slide has Javier Mascara, the last one on the lead lap, in 11th. Matt Malone ran out of fuel, had to let the leaders go by to finish 12th, with Cam Porter 13th and Doug Cloud in 14th. And it's Fernando Espargargas in the 15th spot. Seamus Power with a lot of adventures, 2 laps down, and 16th. And from there, it was DNFs through the rest of the field.
Phil Lake took home the win today for the GTOs, and what a performance he put on, putting a good 10 seconds on Nick Mecanos by the end of that race. Nick Mecanos finishing in second position, with Javier Del Olmo a couple of seconds behind him. Yuko Laskala, after starting the race on qualifying fuel, pitted for extra fuel and then pitted a second time to make sure he had clear track ahead of him. He was able to recover up to fourth with his insane hot lapping speed. Robert Plumley able to come home in fifth position after a couple of incidents ended up catching him out. Billy Roberts, a fantastic drive into sixth spot, with Franco Scurry recovering to seventh and Hideki Koivisto to eighth after both of them missed their pit boxes when they went through the pits the first time. Philip Vandenhoek, after having 2 separate incidents, comes home in the 9th position, with Gianluca Gabbiani in 10th, Yuri Giesen in the 12th position, and Mark Olay, after having quite a few incidents himself, comes home in the 12th position. Everyone else had major problems, with Nathan Cameron the only other GTO to finish. All the rest were DNFs.
And we've got our winner in the prototypes with us, the number 1, driven by Jakub Maciejewski, here to talk to us about what this one was like from his perspective, because Jakub, it wasn't completely clean, as I've mentioned here on the broadcast. You had a little problem partway through it. It looks like it hurt your time slightly, but how badly damaged was the car with that contact?
I'm not sure. I didn't check how much damage was it. The car was drivable, the steering was straight, so that's the most important thing, I guess. I didn't have top speed, but that didn't interrupt me in winning. So that's the most important thing, and that's why I'm not also so mad about the incident. Since if it wasn't madeable, then I would be a bit more mad maybe. Like, I'm not really sure what Doug was doing there. But yeah, it happens. So.
Well, you're one of the few that didn't seem rustled by all that was going on out there, because it looked like quite a few drivers were getting rather upset. I mean, how was traffic in general today? Do you felt like it was pretty decently behaved, or were there a lot of close moments for you?
To be fair, it wasn't that bad. Like the most important thing is that GTO just stays on the racing line, and then we can navigate through it. I don't like when GTO is trying to somehow help by getting off the racing line, since like I can't really predict it, and the GTOs were actually quite all right. Like I'm surprised that it was the GTP that nearly ended my race, but that's not really a bad track for the traffic because you can really pass everywhere.
Well, you've had 2 back-to-back wins now. So when we head off to Spa, is it going to be possible to make it a hat trick, or is it going to be tough to get away with the slipstream?
No, I think I can get away. If not at the beginning, then on the traffic, I think I can make it 3 in a row, and hopefully more in a row later on.
Well, thank you for coming and talking to us, Jakob, as that was our winner here in the prototypes in the #1 machine. There you see his incident on screen. Up next, I believe Adam is going to be talking to the winner in the GTOs, Phil Lake.
Yeah, absolutely. And a great drive from Phil Lake today. Phil driving around the lake, most other races, and in the lake this race, and especially at the beginning of the race, a little bit of a drop on the start that had to raise your blood pressure just a little bit coming into the first turn 3 wide.
Yeah, I was looking out out of the window at Yuko to see when, as soon as his car twitched, I was going to go, and I think the green flag came out before he moved, so I was still waiting for him to move, and it was a horrible start. I was lucky I was able to get back up to second as quickly as I did, and then just try and stay close to him from there.
Yeah, so I'm sure you were as surprised as we were when he ducked into the pits on lap 2. Or at the end of lap 2. So, I mean, I'm guessing he took his qualifying fuel, but after that point, you seemed to check out. And was the traffic as problematic for you today as the 16 DNFs that we had today?
Yeah, I was quite surprised to see that. I think he had a deliberate misshift in Ferradura on like lap 2 to try and get me to take the lead. But yeah, I wasn't falling for that. I wasn't going to drag him round and help him save fuel, so I just let him gather it back up and stay in the lead. So at first I thought he was pitting as a sort of really extreme alternate strategy to not let me fuel save behind him. But then, yeah, I realised that it was too soon even for that, so it was probably qualifying fuel. Yeah, which is it's a shame. It would have been quite a strategic race, I think. But he did really well to still be able to finish without having to pit twice. So he did a really, really good recovery. Yeah, and then the traffic wasn't too bad. There were quite a few times, where the Nissan was making a poor decision, and you just kind of have to make it work for them. So in turn 14, trying the outside through there, you've just got to see that's what they're doing and just lift, because otherwise it would have ended badly. But it wasn't too bad.
Well, Phil, yet another win under your belt, and with the trouble that Yuko's been having, you're starting to stretch that lead pretty significantly. I think both of you have the races that you're going to take as your drops already done, so this might be the actual gap between the two of you. But what are your thoughts heading into the second half of the season?
Yeah, I've got one more drop, I think, or at least reasonably. I know Yuko's are both zeros. I think I might have like a small amount of points as one of mine. So, yeah, the second half of the season there's some wild tracks coming up. We've got Spa next, which should be okay, and then I think I'm not sure if I got the order right, but we've got Iron Park, something else, Lime Rock, and then like Daytona to finish. So I'm just really hoping it doesn't come down to Daytona with a whoever beats who wins the championship situation, because the way that track is for drafting, it's going to be pretty ridiculous. We'll just be trying not to be in the lead, so I just hope it doesn't come down to that.
Absolutely. I'll say we all, but is there anyone you want to thank for your win today?
Just you guys as always, and all my teammates.
Thanks for talking to us, Phil. We look forward to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Adam.
That was Phil Lake, our winner in the GTOs. And next up is Aitor Sintes Galindo, who's going to be talking to Joe Peak. He finished second in the GTPs today.
Yeah, small note on Phil. He does have 20 drop points, so a third place is his drop week, and that was at Donington. But Aitor, a huge off track with a moment with Laos. We thought both of you were kind of severely compromised by that. Didn't have hopes for a decent finish, but second place, how did you manage that?
Well, it has a name and surname. That's Ferran Grau, my teammate who was in second at the right time to give me the second position for a championship. But yeah, I'm rather bittersweet about this result. I don't want to get contact with anybody and not even Laos because, well, I've been with him together and was like, there's no way. And in the end, it was a net code. I've seen it. It was like such a shame because, yeah, I could have done something to like because we were like together, and I had some sort of getting outside, and he tried to get in the side for the the other side for the next corner, but. Yeah, it was kind of avoidable for my part, so I really feel I really feel sorry for him as well. But yeah, it's in the end, I'm really happy with the result. In the end, I think the second place is the best I could have hoped for. Congratulations to Jacob. He's the alien. I've been like dreading all this season, so here it is.
Well, you know, and I was about to ask on that. I mean, obviously he's gaining bit by bit, but we're into the second half of the season. He's got 2 zeros. Well, he's got 4 missed weeks, so 2 of his scored races are going to be zeros. Are you nervous about him catching up? Because clearly he's on another level.
Not gonna lie, guys. I'm definitely careful. Cautious about this because, well, yes, he's on all level. It has. My objective right now is to be behind him the rest of the season. If I keep scoring P2s the rest of the season, I will be champion. But this is something that's much easier said than done, especially on Lime Rock and Noram Park. That will be very interesting weeks to have a melee or something. But yeah, it's a very tough season now because right now I'm on the edge. Any misunderstanding with now the lap traffic or something that sends me into a wall or something like that. It can be disaster for the championship. And certainly it's nothing I want. Well, nobody wants, but yeah, it's I'm right now kind of nervous. Not nervous, just be careful. Be careful when you lap someone. Try to do as safe as possible, and try to try to not lose as much points with Jacob, and that will be the end of the season, I suppose.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for it. That was Aitor Sintes Galindo, who finished second today with the help of his teammate being willing to sacrifice some of his points for it. As Adam has caught up with Cam Porter, who, once again, like we saw with the Lotus 49s, was in the thick of things.
Yeah, absolutely. Cam, not necessarily the best race for you today, but still an exciting race nonetheless. And honestly, with all the chaos that was going around, how'd you feel today?
I disagree. I think it was a pretty fun race for me, and the only really big mistake I made was speeding in the pit lane, so I got a 40-second penalty for that. And looking at the results, I don't think I would have finished much higher than I finished in the race today because I was having a good fight with Matt Malone in the first half of the race, which was really exciting and thrilling. But yeah, once I had the pit stop, it was really kind of boring after that.
So speaking of, Matt, are you the kind of driver where you get a streamer on your tail and it starts to raise your heart rate a little bit, or are you the kind of person who, everyone on the track is just another competitor to you?
That's the second way, the second thing you mentioned. Yeah, I feel like he's just another competitor, just like me, and I am excited to go watch his stream of that race now. So, yeah, it's something to look forward to, actually, to have another streamer in the race they have a good close battle with. So you get to see the race from their perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And so talk to me about the traffic today, because it seemed to catch a lot of people out. And how did you feel navigating that today?
I was playing it pretty patient. I feel like I did have a miscommunication with Nathan Cameron at one point, so apologies to him for that. I just misjudged where he was going to go in turn 3, I think. So we had some minor contact, but he kept going. So I'm glad I didn't wreck anybody today. But I know there was a lot of attrition, so I feel pretty lucky to just to finish the race today.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Cam, and thanks for bringing us the rocking cam again. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
I'd like to thank Alex Gall, former Kamel GT champion, for sharing his setup vault. I used his set today. I only wish it came with talent.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Cam. We look forward to seeing you at Spa next week. That was Cam Porter, who finished down in the 13th position in the GTPs. Back to you, Joe.
That's going to wrap us up, but we want to give a big thank you before we go to the Kamel GT community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, thanks goes to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here, and additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp if you want to find more of her great work. Thanks to the team today, Adam, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media. Also, check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storenv.com. We keep a link in the description below for that as well. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment, because the next race in a week's time will be Spa. That's Saturday, May 7th at 1 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on your screen, so check those out. Mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.